government has also gone ahead to go and borrow. And let me say this about borrowing. Some people criticize it because they don't understand it. But if government doesn't borrow, right, a critical sector of Nigeria's economy may collapse. That is the financial and banking sector. The only business by which banks make money, the biggest business from which they make, is to lend. So my money is in a bank, your money is in a bank, they are paying us interest. When we go and demand our money with interest, where is the bank supposed to get it if it does not lend? And it is by that lending to government, to private sector, that banks make profit. So it is a critical employment tool. Also, we haven't had this conversation to borrow, to issue debt notes. It is also legitimate to hear those who are concerned about borrowing. So I don't dismiss them. But it's important to see the two sides of it. So without lending, if you have a relation in a bank, and without corresponding borrowing, they may lay off those kind of people. But what are the components of the economic sustainability plan? I've told you about the fiscal and monetary side of it. The others are broad policies on housing, works, road construction, direct employment at the local government level for labor, and increased output on solar panels. You will remember that President Buhari, I think in 2016, approved an off-grid policy, which was the first off-grid policy in the entire history of Nigeria. So that was how it was easy to then start deploying solar systems on a more incremental basis. So you might recall some of the work that was then done, delivering solar systems to universities in Ebonyi and in Kano, I believe. Also, the initiatives at this market in Abia, Ari market, Sura market in Lagos, Sabongari market in Kano. Now, this plan will seek to deploy even more solar home systems to people. Now, they've shared some of this with us at the committee level. We want to make the deployment simpler, easier, so they're almost going to be like your DSTV home installation system, a plug and play. This is what we're looking at, and we're targeting many millions of houses. We're also looking at constructing roads now with more stone, more cement, more iron rod, as to make it labor intensive, so that more people will be employed. So, for example, it's going to take now about 14 people to complete a kilometer of road. So if you are doing more kilometers, you're employing more people, you're using local material, you're using local cement. If cement and iron rod demand, which are locally produced, increases, those companies will be forced to expand production to meet supply. They will demand more limestone, they will demand more chemicals, they will also demand more labor. So these are some of the bolts and nuts of that plan. But let me also say that there is a broadband expansion policy to make it even more easier and cheaper for us to continue to converse in the way we are now conversing. This will become a part of our new normal, holding online meetings and conferences. So we are looking to roll out close to about 80,000 more kilometers of broadband. Some states, like Ekiti, have started reducing the cost of right-of-way. Kaduna State, I believe, has actually dispensed with it. We are looking at a national policy now that substantially reduces or takes that out. What that means is that if we have to roll out about 80,000 kilometers of broadband, we estimate that that will be about 2 million man-hours of work, which approximates to about 50,000 jobs in real terms. So we're also looking at the cost, the opportunities that lie now in producing what we call polyethylene corrugated optic ducts, where the fiber will be laid. Again, if we see local production capacity there, that will create a lot of jobs for people who will then be challenged to supply the ducts to cover the 80,000 kilometers. So these are some of the things in the economic sustainability plan. And agriculture, mind you, is another critical part of it. We want to increase the cultivatable land in the country. We are currently cultivating just about 1/3, and I stand to be corrected on that figure. The Minister for Agriculture knows the numbers more than I do, but in his presentation, as I recollect it, we are not cultivating enough land. So we can double cultivation, increase food output, not just for local use now, but for export. I must say to you and to Nigerians that because of the success of the agri program, which is still evolving, that President Buhari inaugurated, during this COVID exercise, many countries were writing to us from near and far, asking us to please supply them food. This is not in the public space, but President Buhari's priority was tell them to wait. We must feed our people first before we send food out. We don't know when this is going to end. So agric was one of the sectors quickly to reopen, even during the ease of the lockdown, so that we continue to produce what we eat and we can then deal with it. We want to see more value added in terms of processing and preservation. We're losing an unsatisfactory quantity of our agro produce to many factors: transport, cooling, heating, and so on. These are components that the Ministry of Agri in the next few months, I'm sure, will share with you about how to ensure that we preserve many more of what we produce and lose less.
With the success of the Oroshoki-Badagry Federal Highway, using concrete, cement to do, are we likely to see more of this across the country?
Yes, I expect that there would be. That's why I told you that we're looking at more concrete roads. But for us to have concrete roads, we have to create a design manual that is universally applicable in the country. That work is being undertaken by my ministry. We have evolved the design, but they now have to consult with all stakeholders in the built industry to accept minimum and maximum standards. In the construction industry, there are always minima and maxima. So if you see the lane on each road, you'll be surprised that why can every car sit comfortably in one lane, irrespective of who makes the car? It's because the industry uses standards. Why can every truck pass under a bridge if it does not overload? It is because there's minimum bridge head and maximum bridge head. So we need to now standardize the minima and the maxima for road construction using stone and concrete. But just to say to you that we're already doing that also in some parts. Obajana Kaba is also another road using concrete, but we want to deploy a lot more for economic self-benefit.
Your Excellency, it seems you have a lot of knowledge about so many things. And I'm wondering, sir, how do you create time to study some of these things? I know that in your days in Lagos, you used to have books in your car and all of that. And I'm wondering if you still, whether you've maintained that habit of also still keeping tab with books and tapes and all that, that I mean, help you have a grasp of what you do, sir.
Well, thank you very much for what I think is a compliment. From the day I stepped into public service, my life changed. I took responsibility to do certain things, whether as chief of staff or as governor, and therefore my time for myself significantly reduced. Unfortunately, too, time for family reduced. And in discharging that responsibility, it became incumbent upon me to seek to know more about the skill sets necessary to discharge those responsibilities. Yes, I still read books in bits and pieces, unfortunately now. So the book I'm reading now is called Viral Storm by Nathan Wolfe. It's about diseases it's about viruses, bacteria, and prions, and about how they've evolved, and so on and so forth. But I also know that it is quicker and cheaper, or faster rather, faster, to learn audiovisually. So I watch a lot of documentaries, construction, science. You will see me around Discovery World, National Geographic, the science of stupid, how things are built. So, and I do my own fair share of African magic, so let me not lie. So I do my fair share of African magic. I'm on Rock TV, I'm on Netflix, but I spend a lot more time indoors now than outdoors, just generally trying to understand more how life works, my role, what I can do, why A is happening and B is not happening.
Thank you, Your Excellency. What will be your last message as we round up? Your message to our viewers. What will be your advice and message?
To all Nigerians is to say that this is a very great country. There is a lot of possibility ahead of us. While it is good to remember yesterday, we must keep our eyes focused on today and projected upon tomorrow. The possibilities that lie ahead of our country tomorrow are a lot bigger than what may have passed behind in the past. There is hope, and I am optimistic. I remain optimistic, and I'm sure that with the commitment with which President Buhari continues to lead us, in the fullness of time, your verdict will be that he will be leaving Nigeria a much better place than when he met it.